Come here. Oh. Meow. What? You just want to scream at me from off camera? Hello, friends. I would like to give everybody an update on some cool Relict-related stuff that we've got in the works, kind of behind the scenes here. For those of you who don't know, Relict RPG is the game that I've spent the last year designing and illustrating myself. We are in playtesting right now. It is going really well. We're having a lot of fun with it. You can play it this moment, right now. The current build of the game is available for free on the website relictrpg.com. There'll be links down in the whatever. But yeah, it is a totally free tabletop role-playing game system. You can play it in any setting you can imagine. There's no paywalls. You're not going to run into like a battle pass or subscription fee or any of that crap that I hate. But I do need to still provide my family with food, shelter, and medicine. So there are ways to support us. We have a Patreon, we have a donations page, all that kind of good stuff. We try and provide some good value for that. But another thing we've been working on is some accessories. So let's talk about those, because I just got a shipment of some really cool first run prototype stuff. So I designed these, we are using a print on demand service. So like you can, once they're live, there will be a link on our website. You can just go and order whatever you want, and there'll be different packages available. And the costs are all coming in at what I would consider relatively reasonable right now for what we're getting, and we're just trying to figure out the best way to package them together and make sure you're getting good kind of bang for your buck if you choose to do that. So the first thing I've got in front of me are these. Let's see if I can get the camera focused. Nope, not going to happen. Great, love that. Cool. These are mana and stamina counters. I might tweak some of the colors a little bit, but you can use these because in the game you keep track of mana and stamina for your different abilities each round. So you can easily do it on paper, you can easily do it with a set of dice or something, but these are just a nice little extra, for a couple of bucks way to do that. But these came out great. These are the stamina ones, kind of this leather painted texture. They're just cardboard, but then we got like a little mana potion for the mana bottle, mana dial. I think that's a lot of fun. But let's get into the exciting stuff. I've been working on reference decks. So these, I've not opened them yet. I got a prototype of one of them a week or so ago. Didn't have the box, and it was only for one class, and we wanted to change a bunch of colors and stuff. So let's see kind of how these came out. Very happy with the packaging. So this one's for our Berserker class. I don't know if you can see that. I'll take the plastic off in a second. This is our Shadow Mage, and then I've got one more over here for the Blink Mage. That's exciting. Martial classes are the silver, and Mage classes are the gold. I might have to do something for the hybrids. I'll figure it out. There's more colors. But let's go ahead and open one of these. I'm excited, and I'll show you kind of how they work. I grabbed Blink Mage first. So, Blink Mage little hook box here. Very happy with that. We've got the class art on the back. Super cool. Just pops open like so. Art is doubled there, and then it should just unfold. Yeah, there we are. So just a simple little box folds back together. There we go. Alright, so there we go. There's our box. Inside each one of these, you're going to have a bunch of cards. Oh, they're in the wrong box. Okay, I didn't give them a note onto which cards went in which box, because these are just prototypes, so I think they just divvied them up and threw them in here. So we'll get that tweaked. Yeah, they just threw them in here kind of random. That's okay. This was all, for prototyping purposes, one giant order with all of these different cards in them, so they were probably just like, whatever, throw them in. I actually appreciate that they went ahead and tried that instead of, I was worried they were going to charge me shipping for a box of cards and then a box of boxes, so at least they put them together and sealed them up so I can see how that looks. So once I've provided actual proper instruction to the manufacturing team, here's what you would actually get within one class box. So here's the Berserker, and what we have are these red cards, the red and gold. These are your major class, and my camera's not going to pick up on all of this, but that's okay. Let's see if that'll focus. So that's your major class. The blue and gold ones here are your minor class, and the brown and silver ones here are the influence class. I think you can see that pretty, well, good enough. My camera's not really set up for this desktop stuff. You also have these black and gold cards, which is your class features, and these black and silver cards, which are your specializations, and we will talk about that in just a second. But I'm going to set those aside for right now. So I'm building my class, right? As you may know, if you've played around with it at all, Relict is based on multi-classing. So that usually means that you're choosing 2, potentially 3, but often 2 classes when you build your character. So if I want to be a Berserker major class, I need this red deck. And let's say I'm going Blink Mage minor class, so I'll take the Blink Mage blue cards. I don't have them all pulled out right now. But that becomes the list of all of the abilities my character has. The difference, and I'll show you with the Berserker cards here, is like for this ability Pummel, which I pulled out, for a major class it's going to cost, where is it? Mirrored, everything is mirrored. So for Pummel, costs 6 stamina. Hooray! For your minor class, all the costs are doubled. So Pummel is an expensive ability at 6, but it goes up to 12 for your minor class, which at low level, probably not practical, but at higher levels, something you could potentially do every couple of turns. Not a big deal. For your influence class, everything is doubled again, so that's going to start at 24, which is going to be very difficult to pull off, except at either higher levels of play, or if you have items or special effects or perks or other ways to kind of circumnavigate those costs a little bit, of which there are some options. So potentially still a useful reference to have, but not something you'd use too often. You'd probably wind up using some of the cheaper abilities like Blooded or Wild Strike as a influence class Berserker if you took that as your 3rd class. But the concept here is all of the math and all the adjustments in each one of these card decks is already done. So when I'm building my class, I go, okay, I'm a Berserker Major, I'm a Blink Mage Minor, and maybe I went Shadow Mage for my 3rd, maybe I didn't, maybe I used something else. So I can just grab the abilities that are relevant. I don't have to worry about doing math or anything, and I can kind of treat this almost like a trading card game deck of like, here's my 5 major abilities, here's my other ones. But it doesn't really matter what class they come from because all the information's on here. I know exactly what I need to do for each one. I have all of my costs and mana and stamina and everything already figured out. The other thing that is included in these decks are these 2 black card sets here. One of which is your specializations. This only applies for your major class in Relict. So if I'm a Berserker major class, I'll grab the Berserker specializations deck, and I don't need most of these most of the time. These are the choices you make when you level up at certain levels. For example, at level, let's see if I can find a quick double here. At level 3, when I'm leveling up as a Berserker as my primary class, I can choose one of the level 3 specializations. So I could pick Before the Storm or Improved Frenzy. Whichever one of those I take goes into my deck, the rest goes back in the box. I won't need it until I level up again and hit those key levels. Another thing you can do as you're leveling up at different levels than what's covered on these cards here, but it's on your character sheet, is you can choose an ability from your minor or influence class to make those cost multipliers go away. Last thing that is in here are these black and gold cards, the class features cards. These are all identical, and it's just so potentially if I have one player at my table using this as the major class, if I have one player using the minor class, if I use one player as the influence, they all have, this is like the general, like, what is this class? Here's the basic effect, here's the basic stats on it. Just a quick reference card for potentially up to 3 players if you are getting like the maximum usage out of one deck pack. All of the decks will kind of follow this strategy, and like I said, you might want it for just me because I know what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a major class and then I'm going to swap out some of these like minor class cards with the major ones. Or you might get a pack as a table and just get like this, you know, this is 3 different classes here, but potentially you could have a bunch of different players. What would that be? Up to maybe 6 characters, 9 characters? I don't know. I haven't done the math. But you could potentially have a bunch of different characters. It depends on whether or not they use 2 or 3. That's why I'm struggling with the math. Shut up. But you could have a bunch of different players using parts of the same deck packs to build a bunch of different characters. Like one's a Berserker Major and like a Sorcerer Minor, and one's a Berserker Minor with like an Assassin Major or something like that. So it's a way to kind of have the same pack serve more than one player, which I think is just, again, it's all about trying to deliver some value for me. In terms of, I had one of my playtesters ask, like, well, wouldn't it be cheaper to print everything on one card for like all 3 of these? And the answer is actually surprisingly no. Because if we're printing these, we're paying for a whole sheet of cards to be made no matter what, and whether or not that sheet has 5 cards on it or 50 cards on it, the printer doesn't care. So the cost, you know, until we have to add extra sheets to the production, the cost is actually kind of negligible. Like, truly, it doesn't make a difference to print all 3 of these versus to just print one with everything on it. So figured this is a little bit nicer and it lets you kind of share a little bit better. So we're going with that. All right, little bonus at the end here, because I just went ahead and put together my fiance's playtest character, which is super exciting. So just as an example, when we were putting together our playtest groups and building characters and everything, she was immediately like, I want to be a big, heavy fighter who can teleport. We were like, all right, bet. So we put together, and what she picked was a Berserker, Blink Mage with a Shadow Mage for her 3rd. Both of these are kind of teleporty, sneaky classes that can kind of just pop out of nowhere and zip all around the field, and the Berserker is like high risk, high reward. You take a lot of damage, and you can just annihilate things really easily. So this is what her deck collection would look like. She's got her Berserker, major class, her Blink Mage, minor class. She's level 4 right now, so that means she's chosen 1 specialization option. All of that's on your character sheet. You don't have to memorize it or anything, but she chose Before the Storm, gives her a little armor value when she's not berserking, which is real nice. The other specializations can just hang out until we get up to those levels, but she doesn't need those right now. And then she chose her Shadow Mage Influence class, but at level 4, she went ahead and swapped one of the abilities she really liked there that was kind of pricey for the major, the no-cost option. So this is down to 3 instead of 12 mana per turn because she really liked that ability, which has all of these fun, like, throw enemies into the abyss beyond time and space and make them horrified abilities. So this is a giant monster character that can appear from nowhere, fade into the shadows, and make you reckon with the infinite void between the spaces in reality. So this is a really fun character. Oh, she's a Gorgon too, so she can turn people to stone like once a day or something. So she's been really fun to GM for. Actually, I'm having a blast with this character. She's given all her little hair snakes personalities, and it's just a great time. But that's kind of how this works in practice. So she's still got her character sheet, she's got her mana and stamina counters, but then during combat she can kind of flip through and go, all right, which one of these? I think I've got X mana, I could do that, and then for my second action I could probably go ahead and do that, or actually I'll do that one in that order, and then, all right, so that's 4 mana, that's 2 stamina, I know I got that covered, I'll fix my counters when it's my turn, great. You don't have to use all of these, you could even prune out, be like, there's no way I'm ever going to afford that. There's no way I don't have enough mana for that for another couple levels, so I can set some of these aside, you know, these higher level abilities that your character is just not really built to use too often, so you can kind of just use this as a way, if you're like me, if you're visual, if you're tactile, as a way to organize the best way to run your character and what you're going to do each turn, and I'm explaining what cards are to people now, so I'm going to stop. Anyways, that's my cool update news for today. I'm working on some other stuff to kind of go with all of this. Obviously, I'd like to have these available for each class, and I'm going to look and see if there's like packages of like maybe all the martial classes or like a mix or something like that, so I can hit sort of different budgets, because I want these to be a useful and available thing for people. And I also really like that this lets us start exploring options for Relict to wind up in physical spaces like game stores, because I want to support them. They've been very supportive of us on this project, and, you know, a free, totally online system doesn't really help those guys much. But I think it's important that those spaces exist, and, you know, if we can have something that is valuable and useful and enhances the gameplay experience for our players and our GMs, and still support that kind of interaction, then I'm gonna find a way to do it. So here we are. Excellent. I'm very pleased. These are exciting. And we get our other prototypes over here. Woohoo! Yay! Stay tuned for more stuff coming up in the near future, but that's all I got for now. Good night. Wow. All right. She got that out of her system.